Hey, we got one in the house. Is there a heart in the house tonight? We got two. Ace, Rashida, what's going on?
Peace, family, peace.
We love this song.
Simply say that.
Peace, peace. What's going on, God? Ace, Rashida, Angelique, Terry, Angela, Daphne, what's goody? Good morning. Grand Rising family.
Grand Rising.
All right.
So, this is about to be 30 years that we have started what we switch up and call Union Communion. It was like, what you
I thought you said 30 years.
No, three years that we've been doing what we call Union Communion. And we switch up the name sometimes, it really doesn't matter. But the whole concept that we have is that we read something from one of our spiritual books, any one of them, and we just open it up to wherever it lands and read whatever it says. We do that based off of like divination. So we figure whatever it opens up to is what message we needed to hear today. And then we read it together, and one of us will read it, and then we discuss it together. We've done this with some of our friends that's come over. And today we just wanted to share with you guys for the first time. Yeah.
All right, so we're going to open it up with just a little bit of sacred tones. Okay, so get your ears ready. We're about to saturate the space. Hey, them giants look like some spaceships too. So we was just powering up one of our yantra cards with the vibrations. And so this one is for knowledge and creativity. And so this is going to be a little yantra that we're actually going to be working on today, just as a side note. But yeah, we invite you guys to come and share in the space, and we give thanks that you guys are here with us and being blessed by the sound vibrations and bathing yourselves in the holy stream of sound. Okay. And without further ado, Boo is going to read from a very sacred book, and she's going to introduce the topic and let it roll.
Yes. And for those that are just coming into the room, we just want to reiterate that what we're doing is something we've been doing for 3 years together, which is basically reading from one of our spiritual books, anyone that we choose. Today we chose my favorite, Challenge for Discipleship by Tortham. He is an amazing writer, teacher, musician. I mean, yeah, he done tapped into some higher level frequencies for sure. And his teachings is about joyfulness, compassion, service, and pretty much making sure that you are coming correct, as you maneuver throughout this dimension. So basically what we do is we read the scripture or read whatever it is from the book, and we talk about it. So without further ado, I'm going to begin. And so what I opened up to, that's something I did say earlier, is that we just kind of take the book and we go like this, see wherever it opens up to, and we figured that's what Spirit is asking us to bring some awareness to or reveal something to us. So today I opened up to 12 responsibilities of a disciple. So I'm going to start. Just let me know if y'all can hear me loud and clearly. So I want you guys to catch all the words, and I'll get a little bit closer. All right. It says a New Age disciple has 12 important responsibilities. The first responsibility is, curiously enough, to be healthy. Avoid all those things that cause failure in your health and your heart. If you're not healthy, you cannot bear the pressures that are loading your shoulders. You cannot keep your balance in the rising waves of the ocean. You cannot keep your stability in the rushing winds and gales of the world condition. A sage once wrote that disciples are those people who from childhood had a very strong mechanism and kept themselves pure and holy so that they could face coming difficulties in their life. That was number one, to be healthy. Number two, the second responsibility of the disciple is to develop inclusiveness, love, and compassion. You cannot be a New Age disciple if there is hatred or separatism within you, if you're expressing ugliness with your thoughts, emotions, and behavior. The disciple has an even greater responsibility to teach these things to others whenever it is possible. Number three, the third responsibility of the disciple is to develop the mind through right education, creativity, and service. Every day, you must expand your consciousness through reading, service, and creativity, because only an organized, educated, and refined mind can absorb messages from the soul and from great centers of the universe and translate them in the right way. If your mind is crooked and uneducated, you cannot understand life. You cannot see the need. You cannot discriminate, and you cannot digest and formulate new ideas and visions. In creativity, you digest those inspirations and impressions that are coming into your system. There's no digestion if you are not making efforts to create, and this is very important. Number four, the fourth responsibility of the disciple is to emphasize with his own life unity and synthesis and to stand against all forms of separatism and hatred. A disciple cannot stand and say, this is mine and this is yours. He must stand for unity. Number five, the fifth responsibility is to emphasize beauty. A disciple must see beauty everywhere. In seeing beauty, you evoke beauty. In seeing ugliness, you evoke ugliness. You increase ugliness. In seeing beauty, you fertilize and energize beauty. Beauty is the innermost self living within you. Bring that beauty out. Number 6. The sixth responsibility is to spread goodwill. A disciple must have the will to good for everyone and everything. Do not be jealous of what others have. Do not say, his wife is so beautiful, and I do not even have a wife. When you are jealous, you are short-circuiting yourself. You are short-circuiting the electrical system of the network of your energies. Goodwill means to give a chance to God to express himself through you. Goodwill means that God is radiating through you because God is good. Number 7. The seventh responsibility is to build bridges. Bridges with the inner guide and with higher sources, and to consciously come in contact with higher levels where great centers of learning exist. We're not referring to being a medium. To build bridges means to expand and build upon your consciousness in such a way that you eventually contact other dimensions where greater light, greater beauty, and greater goodness exist. A disciple will never get his messages from secondhand sources. Oh, that's a good one. He will put out his own antenna and receive his messages consciously with continuity of consciousness. Number 8. The eighth responsibility is to create a field of service for the upliftment of the human race. Are you doing something for humanity to raise the human level? Do you have even a small field of service, maybe a little table and a chair at your home where you send letters, write poems, or paint pictures? A disciple must create his own service. A real disciple cannot rest until he creates fields of service, because a person is equal to the extent of the field of service that he creates. Number 9. The ninth responsibility of the disciple is to be an example of patience, tolerance, striving, and sacrifice. Can you exemplify these things in your life? The 10th responsibility. The 10th responsibility of the disciple is to spread the knowledge of higher beings, the existence of great ones, the existence of the hierarchy. But a disciple must have first-hand information about these people in order to speak about them. Number 11. The 11th responsibility is to spread the knowledge of immortality. He must tell people that they are not just flesh and bones, which are going to rot in the grave. He must tell them that they are lights, which will last forever, building millions of different bodies. But again, a disciple must have the experience of immortality in order to teach immortality and bring the human being out from the fear of death. Number 12. The 12th responsibility of the disciple is to emphasize beingness. To emphasize beingness means to look for solid proof that people are growing and maturing. People must manifest their inner reality beyond their appearance, their words, their dress, their makeup, and so on. If you strive with these 12 responsibilities, you will be a candidate on the path of discipleship in the new age. The development of the human being proceeds in a spiral-like formation. For example, we play virtues, imitate virtues, and talk about virtues as if we have the virtues and we are virtuous. This is a lower spiral, or the reflection of a higher spiral. Later, our consciousness climbs up from reflection to reality and enters a higher spiral where we meet the real substance of virtues and live and express them in our life. As we develop and practice virtues, we enter another higher spiral in which we see the planetary correspondence of the virtues, and we break the limitations of our virtues and appropriate them to the planetary dimensions of the virtues. One day, it will be possible to understand that virtues are communication lines between us and highly advanced beings who embody the virtues. Thus, higher impressions, inspirations, and direct contact with higher spheres are possible only through developing virtues. Ooh, we just got some downloads there.
Right.
So let's take a moment to digest all of that. 12 responsibilities of the disciple.
That was fire.
Mm-hmm.
That was fire.
I am more of a disciple than I knew. My coach keeps telling me to become the disciple. I asked what that was from Source, and here you are answering it. I feel good. I have more work to do. Thank you. I need that book. What's it called again? Challenge of Discipleship by Torkham. We love this book. Like, it's so good. Like,
it's a Bible. It's
a
whole manual for real. For real. You can't even read that book straight through. It's like it's a manual. That's exactly what it is. You know what I'm saying? Oh, good, man. Look at all this confirmation.
Yes.
Look at all these disciples.
Yes.
Look at all these celestial sons of heaven.
Tuning into the frequency at the same time. We're all in here just seeking out to be even more refined on our path and our journey. So we give thanks to that. That's a blessing for sure. So, and also, I think that there's a way that people can request in. If there is, and anybody wants to speak on what was read, I'm not sure if it can be done on the computer because we are on our laptop. But if you do want to be requesting just to speak on the topic, go ahead and do it. And if we see a button that says yes, we will request you. If not, sorry.
You can do that?
Yeah. Where you can invite people in to talk too. I know you can do it on your phone. I'm not 100% sure about on the laptop. But either way, just letting you guys know that it is open if you do want to get in here and talk. But so yeah. You want to talk first?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I don't want to talk too much because that was really a lot. You know what I'm saying? To actually absorb, like realistically and digest. That was really a lot of good nuggets.
Yeah.
But I will chime in just for the sake of the fact that we actually make a video and shit.
Sometimes we'll read something from the book and we're just like, oh, this is one of those. Let's be silent and digest that. So that's what he means. We just like internally. Take it on.
Okay, so I'm just looking at some of the stuff that she was talking about, and what stands out to me off break. All right, the ninth responsibility of the disciple is to be an example. I love that one. Let me tell you why I love that. Because when you are living the path and you're living your spirituality and you become an example, what happens is that people that come into your proximity, almost by geometric alignment, they level up and they end up becoming more symmetrical in their nature. When you are somebody who is a walking mountain of virtue, people conform to the energy that they sense from you because you are a standard. You became a law. So people tend to pattern themselves based off of higher laws that they see. So that's why I really resonate with this because, you know, there's nothing higher than the truth except for true living. There's nothing higher than the truth except for true living. You know what I'm saying? Somebody can preach, people can say this and that and whatever the case may be, but they're not going to vibrate as high as somebody that's actually living this path. And that's what they were talking about in the book. You know what I'm saying? The experience of your knowledge is actually going to help further you along your path. It's going to help you help people, you know? And that's what this teaching, the ancient teaching, is all about. It's about creating gods or not even creating gods. It's about creating heroes. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We are striving to become the type of heroes that save ourselves and others. Not in the fact that it's our mission to save others, but the very fact that we saved ourselves and we're trying to be an example of what we talk about. It saves people. You know what I'm saying? You got different levels of heroes. You feel me? And this is that childlike state, because that's the first thing that children hear. You know, that's one of the main things that we try to educate our children on. Always feeding them positive images of heroes, divine images of saviors, divine images of people who came to bring a new idea, save a group of people, save their land, go to a new civilization. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I definitely resonate with that, being an example of what you are. You know, that was really, really potent for me.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like it kind of corresponds with the Aquarian age, you know, of information. You know, before we even really got into this age, we didn't have all this technology to tap in and meet new people to talk about the things that we are experiencing or getting to know or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had to spend time with self, you know, and really like cultivate that energy, cultivate all the downloads that we were receiving from the source, or sitting with the Akashic records and gaining new knowledge, or activating the knowledge that's already within us, you know. And then once we became comfortable with it, we started to find other people that were into it as well, or interested, you know. And by living that, by encompassing it as yourself, you begin to meet other people that are on that same path, you know. So just by being who you are, tapping into that frequency of what's being called to you, starts to change your environment, you know. So that it is powerful to lead by example, because you start to see the differences in yourself and other people. You know, it doesn't have to be this thing where it's like, you need to do this, you need to do that. You know, it's just like, I need to do this. I need to do that. And as I do it, people become interested, you know. That's a fact. Or they, you know, might come across it themselves and like, hey, that's something I'm on. I'm vibrating to that frequency as well. Like, hey, let's collaborate, you know, communicate and raise that vibration even higher, you know. And by coming together, we start to create this vortex of energy, that starts allowing other people to even be positively influenced, you know, and gain those impressions as well. Oh, you want to speak on this one?
You just sparked some shit in my head. So that's another thing about leading by example. You know what I'm saying? Like, the goal here is to become a disciple of your own higher mind, a disciple of your own soul, a disciple of your heart. You know what I'm saying? And so the important thing with that is that when you lead by example and you enter into unknown and new and novel realms and stuff like that, you bring back knowledge and experience that wasn't had before. You know what I'm saying? So many of you all are actually having revelations and illuminations that are exposing things to you that haven't been written in a book yet. You know what I'm saying? It has not been pinned down in a book because it's happening here in real time, because you are divine beings. You know what I'm saying? So that's another beautiful thing about leading by example. You know, in ancient times, a priest would organize a gang of initiates, right? And he would tell the initiates to walk in a counterclockwise circle, right? And so while they walking in a counterclockwise circle, the priest would actually walk in a clockwise circle. And the reason for this is because they saw that by going against the grain and traveling in the opposite direction by themselves, that they was able to extract energies previously unknown to them. You know what I'm saying? So this is the power in actually being leading by example and setting forth in your own path. You get to bring back knowledge and wisdom and share with people so that they can build and develop. Because this is what we're doing. We're building a perfectly ordered system by incorporating our spirituality. You know what I'm saying? So that's leading by example is everything, you know?
That's powerful, for sure. Vanessa asks to repeat number 4. It says the fourth responsibility of the disciple is to emphasize with his own life unity and synthesis, and to stand against all forms of separatism and hatred. A disciple cannot stand and say, this is mine and this is yours. He must stand for unity. And I think because we have a lot of things in this realm that separate us, you know, from the color of our skin, our genders, our nations, our hair. There's so many, our language, our music. There's so many different things that people can be separated by, that it's easy to get caught up into separatism.
Right, right.
And that it's easy to forget about unity consciousness, you know. And I think, you know, it's a lot of, especially when you really get into your physical form, it's a lot of anger that can just start spewing up when you start thinking about all of the hatred that's gone on over the course of years, you know what I'm saying, towards people, towards the earth itself, whether it be it plants, animals, you know, the water, all the things that's being pumped with toxins, you know. It's so many things that show the hatreds of others' hearts, you know, that it can be easy to be like, nah, I'm over here, y'all over there, you know, and being in your own circle, being in your own group, you know. And I think that that's why that's the highest level of consciousness, which is unity consciousness. And even on just like on a higher plane, looking from a spiritual perspective, us all even being able to be in the same space, like, you know, living here in America, where there's a lot of different types of people here, or just the fact that we have the internet and we can be communicating with people that's in other parts of the world, shows like on the technological level, from a spiritual perspective, how unity consciousness is trying to impose itself upon us, you know, like, you know, we got to come together, you know, in order to raise the vibration of the planet, you know. And there's going to be so many delusions and illusions and mirages to be there to be like, no, let's be separate. Let's put ourselves in our boxes. You know what I'm saying? That's why you know, when we're thinking about like chakras, you know, the crown chakra represents that unity consciousness. It's the highest level of connectivity to the source. And so I think that's probably why it's the hardest one for us to obstacle for us to overcome. You know? So I think that on the path of discipleship, when we're looking at, you know, finding that compassion, because it says, with its own life, unity, and synthesis, and to stand against all forms of separatism and hatred, that we're going to be plagued with those obstacles of separatism and hatred in order to challenge us to really find unity consciousness. Because nothing that we can propel ourselves forward is going to come like this. Everything comes with the struggle. That's the polarity of this dimension. You know, we look at it as a duality, like, oh, we're getting the short end of the stick, or, you know, my life is just, you know, damaging and destroying, destructive. How can I move forward when all of this has happened to me? You know, that's the way that the law of this world is, you know, at this point in time. And so everything takes some type of struggle or some type of pain or something in order to move forward, you know, or transcend, really, to transcend. Let me see. That's greetings from Ghana. See, we got people from Ghana.
My brother, you have tuned in. My man, Sam.
That's what's up.
Yeah, that's what's good, man.
Let's see. Is there any one of those that anybody want to list as a responsibility that they want to discuss?
We had healthy, beauty, emphasizing unity and synthesis,
spreading goodwill,
spread the knowledge of higher beings, spread the knowledge of immortality. We had the seventh responsibility is to build bridges.
Build bridges with the inner guide and with higher sources, and to consciously come in contact with higher levels where great centers of learning exist. Can we talk about that? I heard you with the
What did you just? Oh, okay.
Procrastination. I feel that's our true fight as a whole, to understand our oneness, understand that we can transcend and be more together. Thanks, Jacob. Absolutely, sis. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Spread the knowledge of higher beings.
All right. So the 10th responsibility of the disciple is to spread the knowledge of higher beings, the existence of great ones, the existence of the hierarchy. But a disciple must have first-hand information about these people in order to speak about them. I think that it's certain ideas and realities and concepts that upon even hearing them, it expands your consciousness. So for example, people who never knew that they can become healed from cancer and stuff like that, imagine how they must have lit up internally upon hearing about Dr. Sebi or what's this guy's name? I don't know why I can't think of his name, but anyways, Dr. Sebi or Aris Latham or Dr. Garrison or Arnold Ehretz or any of these people actually healing people. You know what I'm saying? It expanded their reality. I know when I first heard about, breatharians and stuff like that, I personally was never like the skeptic. I was like, oh shit, where they at? I can do that too. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes people can't see themselves doing stuff or having that experience, so they knock it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm the type of person, if I see somebody fly over top of us, I'm not gonna be the person that says, damn, they can fly. I'm gonna be like, bet. All right, now I know I can fly too. You know what I'm saying? So I think the important thing is, it's so important to spread the knowledge of higher beings because we live in a shared universe. Even just on a physical level, there's nowhere that you cannot go that's not teeming with life. You could take a scoop of soil, and in that soil, they got about 50 million microorganisms in some dirt. They got microorganisms inside of volcanoes, inside of ice. You know what I'm saying? So how many more countless beings is the universe teeming with in and on invisible planes? You know what I'm saying? This exactly, Dr. Royal Rife. You know what I'm saying? Everybody with the whole psionics movement and electromedicine, absolutely. So it's very important to spread the knowledge of higher beings and higher worlds and people in advanced beings, because that lets us know that there's those of us who made it. There are super women and supermen of the race and the culture on Earth, in different Earths, who have hit spiritual peaks and plateaus, who have become illustrious spirits. You know what I'm saying? We talk about astrology and stuff like that, and people talk very mechanically about these laws of nature. When we really should know that laws of nature and all this stuff, the rain, sleet, hail, snow, these are laws manipulated by advanced beings. You know what I'm saying? We talk about astrology as if they're set in fixed laws. Nah, we're living on the consciousness of a being whose consciousness is so great that it has the earth as its physical body. From a blade of grass to a being who can ensoul the whole earth. You know what I'm saying? So it makes sense to talk about different levels of beings, different grades of beings, because it expands your consciousness and awareness of what you can do. You know what I'm saying? Every soul is the seed of a dormant universe. Right now, you are a passenger in the human clothing. You're just a passenger. This isn't you. You know what I'm saying? You decide to take on these clothes and have experience, experiment, and expression in this life. You know what I'm saying? But there's going to be a time when you are inhabiting a higher capacity and have more responsibilities. So I just think that even upon hearing that there are more beings in the universe other than the 5 kingdoms, does wonders for people's consciousness. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Somebody said, speak about how virtues are our communication to higher beings that embody those qualities.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. All right. So let's think about it like this: when you have, possession and obsession, right? When people say that people are possessed, right? Everybody gets possessed at some point in time, especially if you're a melanated being, because we're the perfect absorbers of light and energy. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm gonna explain why I'm saying possession, and then we're gonna talk about virtue, right? So the way people get possessed is that they have unnatural thoughts that tap into humans' artificial society, right? So you have unnatural thoughts, unnatural desires, and little by little, gradually speaking, when you build on addictions, and things that are of a lower nature, that are outside of the realm of nature, but you incorporate this into your society, parasitic beings, disagreeable entities, because they vibrate and they resonate with that type of energy, they latch onto that shit because you give them a bridge to actually come into this reality. Now, a natural being really does not have to worry about shit like that because you're vibrating at a level where if those entities tried to come onto you or latch to your energy, they would get burnt the fuck up because it would feel like heaven. You know what I mean? It would feel like hell to them. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I say, like, look at it through the lens of what possession is. You have X amount of addictions, X amount of vices, and really what's happening is different entities and people's, you know what I'm saying, astral bodies and things like that, and ghosts and beings of this nature come and live through your addictions. They live through your addictions. They eat through your addictions. Everybody is offering something. You know what I'm saying? Animals offer themselves up to humans, I guess, at a certain point in time. The plants offer themselves up to animals at a certain point in time. Humans are offering themselves up in two ways: to negative, disagreeable entities by way of our desires, our passion, our lower carnal thoughts, our bestial nature. Yet we're also offering our energy up to angelic entities in the form of our emanations, beautiful thoughts, pure thoughts, divine feelings, and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? So when we get to the topic of how virtues are lines of communication between highly exalted beings, the thing is that these virtues are qualities of light. So it is just like a phone. It's like sending a message. You know what I'm saying? The more you create the space to exude a virtue, the more that virtue is going to possess you because it's a living energy. You know what I'm saying? It's a living energy that comes through and possesses you. So the reason why they communicate through the virtues is because the virtues are the standard. So look at it in our regular American society. If you want to talk to the Secretary of State or something like that, you can't just go right to them. You can't just go right to them. You know what I'm saying? You cannot just go right to the Secretary of State. So we mirror our systems based off of heavenly systems. You know what I'm saying? Based off of heavenly systems sometimes. So if you want to talk to the Secretary of State, i.e. you want to talk to the exalted being, you're going to have to go through the virtue. You're going to have to go through a certain process. And so the virtue is going to calibrate your energy because everybody's energy has a certain psychological shape. And this psychological shape acts as a key type of mechanism. You know what I'm saying? And it allows you entry into a higher dimension, a higher plane, a higher sphere of consciousness. But we have to chisel our consciousness and put the work in so that we can stay in shape, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what the virtue does for us. It's like mental calisthenics. It's character building calisthenics. You know what I'm saying? So my bad. These children keep on trying to come out the room or whatever. But yeah, so that's how I see the virtues as a form of communication to higher beings.
Yeah, you just dropped some heavy nuggets right there, and that also speaks to the law of correspondence. So as above, so below. What's below as above. So if you're in the constant state of, like how you said, lower vibratory thoughts, actions, and speech, that's what's going to be above you. Right. And that's what's going to continue to fuel those energies. That's why sometimes it's so hard to get out of the cycle of doing something that is not good for you, you know, or detrimental to your body or detrimental to your mind. Like, say you stay in a relationship where you know it's like not conducive to your growth, or you continue to eat that particular food knowing it's hurting your belly, knowing that it's taking pieces of your mind, or whatever it is. It's because because we're multi-layered beings, right? You know, and so when we're addressing any type of issue within our life, we have to look at it from the mental plane, the physical plane, and the spiritual plane. You know, and if we're not clearing the debris around our psychic field, then those energies are going to just find little things to get us back in it. You know, that's why you'll see in a lot of religious texts or spiritual texts that there's always some type of antagonist. You know what I'm saying? There's always some type of demonic energy or demon or Satan or whatever you want to call it that's there to tempt you. for your desires, to keep you from having that bridge to the higher realms, you know. But if you can overcome your temptations, overcome your desires and things like that, and live with higher virtue and express discipline, then you can be able to keep that bridge open in order to be able to connect to the higher beings. Because now that your thoughts are thinking higher vibratory thoughts, you know, seeing yourself as a divine being, seeing yourself as a part of the solution to a lot of the chaotic problems that we have, and seeing yourself as beautiful, seeing yourself as a part of something more than just yourself. You know what I mean? When you start looking outside of yourself and start thinking about other people, you develop compassion, you develop empathy, and all these different virtues. Those are different types of virtues that you have. Like you said, what I really thought was powerful, it changes your vibration, and it's like a key. And so you become unlocked, you know, and able to channel in to these higher level beings that are going to co-create with you more beautiful things going on in your life.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, you dropped some heavy money for yourself.
No, that wasn't me.
Yeah, we're channeling it. For sure.
Yeah, and so the quality of your thought is going to dictate the level of your energy. You know what I'm saying? Whatever level and plane that you're thinking on, that's the level and plane of substance that you're going to bring into your aura. You know what I'm saying? So it's a level of communication through the virtues, because it makes you clean. You feel me? If somebody came to your house and knocked on your door and they was funky as shit, you would not open the door. You would probably like look through the blinds and shit and be like, boy, you stink like shit. You know what I'm saying? But you wouldn't let them into your house because you know that something is off. You feel me? And so these higher energies know that something is off with us because we haven't built our life on the geometric principles of nature. You know what I'm saying? Namely, love, compassion, beauty, and things of that nature. So yeah.
It says, how does one rid themselves of addictions? How do you clear your space? Then we have some personal examples.
Okay.
Whew. Okay. Everybody has addictions. We still have our addictions that we're working through, you know, and that's because those challenges help us to create us to become more refined, you know, and so we need to be able to acknowledge that we all have these things. So how do we work through our addictions is first becoming aware of them, aware that anything can become addicting, you know, anything from food to sex to alcohol to drugs to vanities to glamour to being in the spotlight, whatever it is may be, become addicted to it, something that you need, that you can't stop doing, that essentially brings some destructive behavior to your life. You know what I'm saying? So becoming aware of what you might be addicted to, what your challenges might be, is the first step. And when addressing them, like I was saying before, since we are multi-layered beings, we have to look at it from the mental, the physical, and spiritual plane. So if we're looking at it from the mental plane, we have to think about what type of thoughts bring us to acting on our addictions. And sometimes that takes going into your childhood traumas. It takes going back into your life to see where it even began, that you even started this addiction. What emotions are put behind that addiction? So for like example, if you tend to emotionally eat, it was a point in time where eating became comforting to you. And you need to go back into that time to kind of address that. Maybe there's still some type of unhealed attachment that you have to comfort eating. And so in order to stop yourself from comfort eating, you have to address that mental capacity, because those thoughts are what's driving you towards that action, you know. And then on the physical plane, you might want to keep yourself away from all of those things that become tempting to you. Maybe you want not to eat a lot of cakes and cookies and sugars and pies and stuff like that. So don't put yourself around it. That's addressing your physical plane, you know. Don't buy it when you see it at the store. And then on the spiritual plane, you might be energetically around you, vulnerable to those energies. And so you want to clear your path, you know, and you can clear your path in many different ways. You really have to tap into what's the most effective way for you. And so some that are effective for, you know, me is using Palo Santo, using sage, using cleansing waters. As I'm washing myself, I'm asking myself to be purified from my addictions. For example, I used to be addicted to weed. I don't even smoke weed anymore because I know it was an addiction for me. Not that weed is addicting, but I was addicted to it. And to the point where I was like, I gotta smoke this weed, I gotta smoke this J, you know what I mean? And it was something that was introduced into my life when I was like 14 years old, you know, and so I had an attachment to it. And I had used it to address whenever I was feeling down, to address whatever, you know what I mean? Or I want to eat, coming up with all types of excuses just to smoke weed, you know what I'm saying? That's not for everybody. That doesn't mean that everybody that smokes weed is addicted to weed, but I recognized within myself the patterns of behaviors that I had that made me addicted to it. And so I had to redefine what I thought about it and see myself that, okay, when I smoke weed, this is what I'm tapping into, these lower vibratory interactions. You know, these lower, I'm not even doing anything productive. You know what I mean? And so once I be able to put that mirror on myself, then I'm starting to address my mental part. Now the physical part is, okay, I'm not going to buy weed. I'm not going to be around people that smoke and weed a lot. If anybody, my friends, start blazing up, I'm going to stay somewhere else so I don't get tempted, so I don't smell it. You know what I mean?
And I've tried to tempt her several times. She is not smoking no weed at all.
No.
She don't even care about the shit no more.
I don't. And then on the spiritual level, just sitting with self, like to rid me, asking my higher self to rid me from this attachment that I had to the weed. That there was a point in time where weed was very like spiritual for me. And did open up a lot of channels for me, but that time was gone. The season was gone. It changed, and I kept trying to hold on to it, you know. And I had to see that this was a part of my spiritual journey of letting go and having to let it go to be able to move forward. So when we're thinking about any addiction that we want to let go, we have to look at it from all three planes in order to really be able to move forward from it. And as I was saying about clearing your space, I think I got into the Palo Santo, the sage, using water and saying as you put in the water on your body to ask yourselves to be purified, as well as using fire. Oh, I love fire rituals. You know, just if you can get a bonfire, that's great. If you can, just getting a little pan where you can burn stuff in, and like writing stuff down, stuff that you need to just let go of, and pouring it into the fire and watching it burn. And as it's burning in front of you externally, imagine and visualize it burning up out of you as well. And you can also do things like freezer magic, where you basically write something on, or a person or a thing that you want to freeze out of your life, you know, it's completely just shut it off. You put it inside of a bottle of water, something that can't break, and put it in the freezer and let it freeze. And you visualize that that's something that's frozen inside of you and that breaks away and no longer can be a part of you. It can no longer be a part of your journey because it's not conducive to your elevation. So you want to give some clearing examples?
No, because you got some momentum right now. So people.
Using music, like instruments like this. You see, like when you hear it, there's like this ding. It's recalibrating your energy, recalibrating your frequency. So that's why we like to use a lot of sound instruments, especially ones that resonate to a particular frequency, because each of our chakras resonate to a particular frequency. And if we need something to get more in tune, like we have some for your willpower downstairs. So if you're having a lack of willpower, you might want to use some instruments that vibrate to that to help you to become even stronger in your will to not do something. 3 weeks tobacco and meat free. Hey, this time was much easier than before because I dug deep and stopped the attachment. Yes, That's a beautiful thing. Like our psychological, this is why we've been seeing a lot of like teachers that are getting exposed, which we've been seeing these for years, you know, or people that have not addressed their past and then elevating on gaining knowledge, you know, and you can come into so much knowledge without addressing your past. And what's going to happen is that you're going to start to develop that narcissistic energy. And there are some very, very powerful lower vibratory demonic energies that will fuel you. Mm-hmm. So that's why, you know, I teach so much about healing, because unless we take the time to go back and dig deep within ourselves, those lower vibratory animals that walk with all of us, you know, are going to come into these higher levels of thinking, you know what I'm saying? And then be used for oppression, be used to control, be used for power, you know, be used to try to get people to do things that they want them to do and feeding their ego as opposed to helping people to feed themselves.
Exactly.
You know, so it's so important that we go into ourselves and heal all the layers of us. You know, nobody is exempt from healing. This is a path for everybody, you know, and it doesn't have to become something that you become obsessed with healing, but using it as a tool to propel yourself forward in a righteous and higher, loving and compassionate way. So I'm really grateful to hear that, and I'm sending you lots of strength and prosperity on your journey, Ty. Put it in the back of the freezer and forget about it. That's right, Ace. Forget about it. Don't even think about it. And you'll see. You'll start to see that it really does start to freeze itself out of your life. Yes. Thank you for that. Of course. Of course. But yeah, we've been building for a minute. I'm getting sweaty. That's a spiritual exercising.
It is. Your little nose is moist.
But yeah, so we thank everybody. Did you have anything else to say, or we can close up?
No, I don't actually. That was A1.
All right. Well, we thank you all for joining us on our Union Communion. And I hope that on your day today, you take with you the 12 responsibilities. Hopefully some of you wrote them down so you can keep them as remembrance. And again, the book was Challenge of Discipleship, Torquum. It's thick. Got lots of heavy jewels up in here for you. And we sending you lots and lots of love on your journey today. Peace, love, and light.
Peace, family.
Thank you for your time.